Tonight we've come to the second of our series of 7 teachings, Yogi and I, on the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, chapter 3, verses 3 to 6, and 3 to 5, isn't it? 3, 4, 5. And we're going to speak about this verse, or these verses, each from a different tradition, from Christian tradition and then from the Nath Sampradaya tradition.
Similarities.
So that's how we're going to go. And well, how are we going to manage this? Do you want to start first, and I'll say something afterwards?
Yes, so we can repeat some two shlokas. First one. Pranasya shunya padavi tada rajja padhayati tada chitam nirarambam tada kalasya vanchanam. So in this shloka, here, okay, translated. Then the part of void, Shunya Padavi, becomes the main part of the air, Pranasya. Then the mind, Chitam, becomes truly self-supported. Then the time, deceived. So this is cheating of time. so such kind of beautiful explanation. Very interesting here, Shunya Padavi and Rajya Padhayate. This is a very special verb, Rajya Padhayate. So we can translate it like royal part of prana. It is a sort of adverb, I think, royally way of prana. So we can touch this topic. What is royal way?
And I was also thinking
that your opinion.
Well, there are many aspects. These are very fine verses, and there are many aspects to it. And I think another way of translating that is that the path of emptiness, which the prana uses, this is the royal path. So the path of emptiness is the major principal path to which prana uses. And so there's perhaps another view of it. So emphasis then upon prana, or emphasis upon shunya.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, because I'd like to emphasize a little bit today for my teaching, because Yogi is giving a different series of thoughts, is to look at this idea of the royal road, of emptiness as being the royal road. In other words, the supreme path, if you like. That there are many paths, and they all have their value, but emptiness ultimately ends up being the supreme path. Why? Because it does not compete. It doesn't need to compete. Nothing can compete with nothingness. It is unlimited. All other paths are limited in some respect, because they're particular, in one way or the other. But the emptiness is the supreme path precisely because it is empty. It produces no obstacles, and this requires the person who's going to follow the path of emptiness to become empty in themselves. That is, to abandon ego, to abandon ambitions, pride, to be free of, you mentioned that earlier on, to be free of the vasanas, the mental impressions, the traumas of the past, if you like, to be free of all these things. And so when a person is free in this way, then prana can come with all its power, and if we don't empty ourselves, then the prana finds obstacles and cannot move freely. I think you'd agree with that, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I saw similar explanation by Shyamakant Dwivedi when I met him in India. He said, so when you practice pranayama, so prana, ayama. So prana means life force, and ayama means extension or increasing. So increase, condition of your energy. But this indicate to some sort of transformation of prana. He said we have two kinds of prana, siddha and asiddha prana. Asiddha prana, which we use for, something very general, so which opposite of royalty. And something main, it is siddha, means, a great level of prana. So I think the description of that sort of prana inside of Sushumna, which is associated with void.
Yes, I think you're right to emphasize prana, because last week we spoke a bit, or I spoke a bit about you enter the void and you discover fire. But you could turn things upside down if you like, and it's the prana, the fire, because prana is fire too, one of its meanings is fire, that fire produces void. That is, fire consumes everything that is imperfect, incomplete, limited. So like in the Havan, everything is placed in the fire and then all is consumed in the fire. And so the fire creates the void for itself. And so this transformation then, so that all that's left then is this flame, this fire shining in the void.
Yeah, therefore here mention, shmashanam, so place of cremation, so that fire consuming offerings. And after that we can see only ash. So for sadhu in India, ash it is a symbol of emptiness, shunya. Also it is a sort of prasada. Prasada means grace. When we offer something like food or some another offerings for deity, after that we take like prasada, which purified. So this ash they cover the place to body, and it makes purification of energy. So that shmashanam, place of cremation in India, but also Havan or Agnihotra. So we can consider like external ritual, and same process we have inside when Kundalini, like fire of consciousness, rise up to Sahasrara chakra, to emptiness, because we have Shunya in Sahasrara chakra.
I want to make a few connections with Christianity, because that's what part of what we're doing now. It's the what is called the beginning of salvation history, this technical term, begins with Abraham. So Abraham is the very important figure. And he is told to leave his country, his father's house, leave his land, and go somewhere which God will point out to him in the future. So this is a very important sentence, because he's told to leave all that is familiar, all his securities, all his background, and to go where? He doesn't know. He's not told. Somewhere, he doesn't know. So he leaves then. So he's entering into a void, from the known into the unknown. It will be a place of blessing, he's told that, it will be a place of blessing for him and for all peoples, but he doesn't know at all where it's going to be. So there is this process of leaving and entering into the void, and this is a very, very basic term. And he does so because Abraham is able to do that because he has faith. in what has been said to him. And I was thinking in the connection with yoga, you see, or for myself too, for all of us on a spiritual path, we all have to leave. We all have to go. So Yogi, when you left Russia, the security of Russia, well, okay, you left Russia and you went to India. You didn't know what would happen, whether you'd live, whether you'd die, whether you'd find anything worthwhile. You didn't know what was happening. So it was a very big act of faith, a journey of faith, if you like, but you had the security, the sense that this was the right thing to do. So there must have been some fire burning in you that told you that this is what you should do. And so you followed that, and as it turned out, it went very well. But you didn't know that it would go well. So there's this element of uncertainty. And so for me too, when I was the age of 15, I sort of made the decision to go into the void, the spiritual path. I was very conscious into the unknown, and to follow the spiritual. So I think all of us then we all are following the path of the void once we start on the spiritual path. And so we have this light of faith, if you like, in us, which guides us and which motivates us and fires us up, you might say. It's a fire that gives us energy to do that. And then this leads to the figure of Christ, because the high point there. But did you want to say something more on that, or should I say something? What do you want me to do? I say some more?
I think you know, during all our life, we left something, and this sort of activities create a new opportunity. Because for accept something, we should be empty. If I have in my hands, something, yeah, so I cannot take another. So therefore, I should be empty. Therefore, this is, Padavi, Padhayati. So this is a way. So it is an indication to way. It is a pilgrimage during all our life and the process of study. So this is not like only we do some yogic technique. So yoga, it is not technique. Yoga, it is way. So, but nowadays many people have a lot of misunderstanding about yoga. I think yoga, it is like entertainment. They come and do some asanas and that's it. And they want a very big result from it. Of course, I think it is impossible, because we should change our life.
Yes. So I think people are somewhat frightened of samsara, the transience of things. Samsara, nothing is stable, nothing is permanent, and we become frightened of impermanence because we like to be permanent, secure. But samsara is a statement that everything is passing, nothing is stable, everything shifts and changes all the time. And I think the whole process of seeing shunya as the path, in fact, makes samsara no longer something bad, if you like, but in fact turns into something very good, because samsara is precisely part of the void. Nothing is permanent, nothing is stable, everything is changing, and we're always moving into something new, into the unknown. And so I think this teaching of Hatha Yoga Pradipika saves, if you like, saves samsara, makes it valuable, and instead of being something to be frightened of, it's something to be appreciated. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the Christian phrase, this very important Christian phrase, what is called the Royal Road of the Cross. It comes up all the time in Christian spiritual teaching, the Royal Road of the Cross, and it fits in perfectly with this, if you like, the Royal Road of the Void, or the Royal Road of the Cross. There's similar significances there, because we have this teaching from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians about Jesus having the same nature as God, and he empties himself. The word is empties. It's a very important word. He empties himself, and takes on the condition of human being, all the limitations of ignorance and powerlessness and weakness of human beings. And so he empties himself. And this is a hugely important thing. And I suppose all of those who wish to be disciples in that manner likewise have to empty themselves and to enter into the condition of other people who are in some way weak or powerless, to take on, to enter, to be with them in their weakness. And so this, and he says elsewhere that he is the way, that no one can come to the Father except through him. Now, he says he is the way, but of course the way that he's is this idea of emptying oneself. That is the only way to progress in the spiritual life, is to empty oneself. And therefore to abandon all, so many spiritual leaders, they want to be famous and important and praised and all that sort of thing. But quite the contrary is what is required to become empty. So that's part of the path. But that's not.
I think he gave example of way, yeah? Because every person, have own cross.
Yes, yes.
Some personal way,
yes.
personal spiritual way.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's like example for everyone.
Yes, yes. And then, if I could just finish on that theme there about so on the day of Easter, he rises from the dead, he comes to his disciples and he shows his hands like this. He shows his hands and his side. Now, there's something strange about the hands because the wounds are still there. So there are holes in his hands. It's very significant. There are holes. So not only is the hands open, but there are also holes in the hand. I think that hole, that space, if you like, space in the hand and the side as well. And I think this is highly significant, that only if we become completely open can power come. And so he breathes on the disciples from his mouth, he opens his mouth, and out he breathes the Spirit upon them. So it's all this business of opening, and blessing comes from being opened. I think that is true, that is like a teaching, that likewise from ourselves too, if we are open, then blessing will come. And that is why I think our relationship, yours and mine, and all of us here, that we are open to each other, and therefore we learn from each other, we wish to hear from each other, we want to appreciate each other's spiritual gifts and so on, and this openness is the right way to go, and it's the only way to go. So it means becoming, if you like, void, and then being filled with the teaching, the grace that comes from as a result of that.
Yeah, also I think this kind of injuries, which you said, very symbolical, so very, very meaningful when we talk with each other. We have different religion, but if you look to this life, so many fightings you can see. This is actually very painful things which left your conception, your desire to accept some another. So normally people don't like it. Normally they want preach only own attachment. So, but so for understanding another people, we need emptiness, we need vairagya, and we need almost every day, I think, if we develop ourselves.
It doesn't mean ceasing to be who we are. So you don't cease to be Nat Yogi, and I don't cease to be a Christian. We are true to one's own tradition, but that goes hand in hand with being open to another tradition. So, but they both go together, I think. It seems to me.
And many yogic scriptures, the explanation about prana. So the prana also associated with void, with emptiness. So, but because prana everywhere, this life force, and emptiness also everywhere. But we are aware only, some limited part of space, because we depend from our senses. When I sit here, so I can see you, and John, but same time we have a camera. Actually, and after that we show this video for another people in another space. So it means all world actually present here. So, and our thoughts and our prana actually not limited by physical environment. So mentally we can present everywhere, and prana also present everywhere. So, and this is Mahapadha, Brahmarandram, Mahapadha. So big way. So very big way open when we left our limitations. So we, discovering a new opportunity. This is related with void.
Yes, I think this idea of opportunity is very important here, because opportunity creates energy. So when opportunities arise, then people feel energy coming to them. Because the doors are opening, and then they want to, they feel inspired to do something because the opportunity arises. And I think that's in our relationships too, that because when we provide opportunities for each other, then we allow people to be themselves and to allow the energy to arise in them. If we close off people, saying no, 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 close people off, then of course we're suppressing all the capacities that are in them, and we're preventing their prana from functioning. So by giving opportunities, opening doors to people, then we allow them to function best.
So we can say also opportunity. This is like we can say Shakti. Yeah?
Yes.
Shakti.
Yes.
This fullness. So in fullness we can discover by emptiness.
Yes.
So they interrelated.
It is related to fullness and.
There's a shunya, ashunya. You can say.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Shunya and something what include.
Yes.
Shunya.
Yes. Yes. Shunya and purna.
So therefore that's maybe Raja Padhayati. So Raja, he very rich, and he has a lot of lot of things. He stays in fullness. He has a kingdom. So also we can say sannyasi sometimes. Not sometimes. So sannyasi, another term they use for sannyasi, like Maharaja. So Maharaja, mostly they're spiritual meaning. However, so there are some similar contexts, like like sannyasi, he open for fullness, and king also open for fullness.
Yes. Yes.
And for emptiness as well.
Yes. But I think the sannyasi is better off really, because the king, even though he has many things, he's only got one kingdom. He's got many jewels, many palaces, but only a few, many, but still a limited number. Whereas the sannyas, person who has nothing, in fact ends up having everything. And there's a very famous sentence in St. John of the Cross: if you desire to have everything, desire to have nothing. And it keeps on going like that. So lots of phrases like that. So that the way to reach fullness is to seek emptiness. but that's very difficult teaching, I think.
We actually have same sentence in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, but another chapter.
Yes.
And,
well, should we spend some time to think in meditation, to think in a bit of stillness now? I mean, should we do that, do you think, or should we speak some more? Is it more to, perhaps we should...
also, I just will talk a little bit more.
Yes.
So there, my Guruji, he told me, so real sannyasa, when Kundalini in your consciousness rise up to space, and you going to shunya. So and you left everything in that moment. So this is real sannyasa, not sannyasa like
Yes.
Artificially I demonstrate, so oh, this is a woman, very bad, because it is sort of hypocrisy. So real sannyasa when you empty and you can open for yourself a lot of opportunities without independence external.